Today's video takes a brief look at the themes highlighted in The Economist, The World Ahead 2026. A glimpse into shifting geopolitics, economic tensions, technological leaps, and the emerging signals that may define the coming years.
The year 2026 approaches like a storm front slowly rising behind the horizon, heavy, magnetic, and impossible to ignore. And now, a single image has ignited the global imagination, the new cover of The Economist's The World Ahead 2026. At first glance, it seems chaotic, colorful, almost playful. But beneath the surface, this artwork is not merely a collage. It is a coded map, a strategic diagram of political tension, technological acceleration, global rivalry, and the subtle mechanisms shaping the next chapter of the modern world. It is less a cover and more a psychological forecast, because 2026 is not simply arriving. It is being engineered. Let's dissect the story hidden inside this illustration. The center of the cover displays the world itself transformed into a giant soccer ball suspended in midair, kicked upward by a solitary player in a red uniform. Surrounding this floating world, dozens of images clash and overlap. Robots, fistfights, flags, aircraft, protest symbols, political silhouettes, economic metaphors, and flashes of both hope and crisis. Nothing there is random. Everything is intentional.
Why a soccer ball? Why now? Because 2026 will be the year of the World Cup, a massive global event capable of uniting billions of people in a single emotional rhythm. Major tournaments have always been more than sports. They are stages for political symbolism, cultural identity, national power, and mass distraction. The timing is perfect. When societies feel exhausted by conflict, division, and economic stress, sports act as both a pressure valve and a global amplifier. But there is more buried inside this metaphor. The figure kicking the world wears red, and the resemblance, whether deliberate or coincidental, evokes one of the most iconic athletes of the century. A figure whose rivalry with another legendary player defined an entire generation. Red versus blue, Portugal versus Argentina, competitive fire versus effortless genius. Cristiano Ronaldo in red, Messi in blue.
It is a rivalry that transcended football and became part of global culture. And in a world increasingly divided between red and blue political identities, the color contrast becomes more than symbolism. It is a mirror of our time, a reminder that polarization has become a universal language, whether expressed in stadiums or parliaments, timelines or ballots. People don't just choose a team anymore, they choose a side. And this same dichotomy occurs repeatedly across the cover. Blue and red bucks are striking one another, blue and red symbols colliding, blue and red tensions radiating across borders. It is a visual message. The world is locked into a cycle of opposites, identity against identity, ideology against ideology, faction against faction. The next symbol is darker, a clenched fist wrapped in chains. It suggests rebellion, yes, but rebellion restrained. Social frustration, confined, controlled, or redirected. It evokes the memory of past uprisings and raises the question, will 2026 echo old cycles of protest? Or will attempts at unrest be contained before they explode?
Now, look at another curious detail. A birthday cake with the number 250 placed on top. Why 250? Because two pivotal events trace back to 1776, both turning 250 in 2026. One is familiar to all: the independence of the United States, July 4th, 1776. A nation that over the next 2.5 centuries would dominate global politics, culture, military power, and technological evolution. The other event is rarely acknowledged: the founding of a secretive intellectual society in Bavaria, the Illuminati, on May 1st, 1776. A group built on Enlightenment ideals and aimed at reorganizing the political direction of Europe. Their existence, goals, and eventual suppression became a symbol of the clash between old regimes and emerging thought systems. What truly matters here is not mystery or myth. It is the symbolism. Because 1776 marks both a political revolution and an ideological uprising, moments when old structures were challenged and new worldviews emerged. When a system based on monarchy and inherited hierarchies was confronted by a new logic of governance, knowledge, and influence.
This dual anniversary appearing on the cover is not decorative. It signals a year when nations confront their origins, question their identities, and renegotiate their futures. And in the case of the United States, 2026 will arrive in the middle of intense political turbulence. It will be a midterm election year, historically one of the most decisive moments in the American political cycle. Midterms do more than shift congressional seats. They can redefine national direction, influence global markets, alter alliances, and reshape the geopolitical climate. The cover implies that by the time 2026 arrives, the United States will still be navigating what many analysts describe as the era of chaos, a period beginning roughly in the mid-2010s, marked by culture fragmentation, institutional distrust, global disruption, and political earthquakes. One of the strongest symbols of this era was the rise of Donald Trump, a figure who did not simply enter politics, but detonated it. His presidency and post-presidency became a turning point that accelerated polarization. Supporters and opponents forming parallel realities, each convinced of their own truths, each unwilling to concede the legitimacy of the other side. This is where the metaphor of red and blue becomes inescapable.
The United States is no longer divided merely by policy differences. It is divided by identity, worldview, and emotional allegiance. Red versus blue as intensely as Ronaldo versus Messi in stadiums worldwide. The Economist cover seems to suggest that 2026 will not calm this divide. Instead, it may amplify it. Now, step back and observe the collage as a whole. Artificial intelligence expanding faster than regulation. Robotics automating labor, commerce, and warfare. Economic uncertainty concealed behind optimistic forecasts. Conflicts simmering across continents. Nations entering new alliances while breaking old ones. Digital culture accelerating public emotion at speeds never seen before. It is not a new era. It is an intensified version of the one we are already living in. A world where information becomes a tool of influence. A world where technology becomes a battlefield. A world where political identity becomes a weapon. A world where global events become spectacles. And above all, a world where power operates through distraction as much as strategy.
The image of the soccer ball world is not trying to predict a final outcome. It is highlighting the mechanisms shaping that outcome. The emotional tides, the ideological battles, the engineered spectacles, the strategic rivalries. The message encrypted inside that artwork is not that 2026 will be chaotic. Chaos is already here. The message is that 2026 will be shaped by those who understand how to use chaos, to direct it, to amplify it, or to benefit from it. Understanding the cover is not an attempt to foresee the future.
It is an attempt to understand the forces preparing the stage. Because the world we are walking into is not simply unfolding. It has been designed, constructed, and directed piece by piece, influence by influence, and decision by decision. And whether we like it or not, 2026 will not just be a year on the calendar. It will be a confrontation with the architecture of power itself.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you don't miss what comes next.